I know Legacy EV had a large presence at SEMA this past year, and were you at SEMA as well, or?
I was. I had to fly out for a day because I had a meeting back in Phoenix that I had to be at. But other than that, I was there.
Yeah, gotcha. And admittedly, I really wanted to be there, but it was coincidentally the weekend I was getting married, so that
Oh,
didn't work out
congrats.
this year. Oh, thank you, thank you. But as
Yeah.
funny as it is, my wife even says like, "Well, we can go to Vegas next year for our anniversary or something." And I used to go to Vegas all the time for work, so that to me is like kind of disappointing. But I do actually want to go to SEMA, so that was kind of the part I was excited about. And everyone I talked to, it really sounded like this past year was the year that instead of like electric vehicle and kind of resto mods being in that, it really was a pretty big portion of it and pretty front and center. Were there any things that really stood out to you? And is that pretty accurate of what your experience was too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the industry's come a long, long way. When we first displayed at SEMA in 2021, Mitchell from Torque Trends was there. I remember that year, the Monday like opening ceremony, they had their like feature vehicles drive over this stage. It's just for industry and exhibitors. And of the seven that drove over this stage to display and talk about the hype of the show, four of them were EV, and it was like,
Oh,
whoa,
wow.
this is crazy. Like we're showing up on the scene in perfect timing. And then you walk into the show, and Mitch from Torque Trends will tell you like, I was here 10 years ago, and this is the only EV company. Like there's nobody here. There's maybe one or two other EV things, nothing like what there is today. And that year, I think there were seven EV companies at SEMA, maybe five,
Wow.
but still, it was like, that's dramatic growth, right? That's big. And so felt like, okay, yeah, this is the time. But all of us were spread out. None of us were next to each other. We were just all over the show floor. And then the next year, a few more EV companies. And then this year, they brought all of us together in the electrified zone, or the future tech, propulsion tech zone. And it was massive. It was really cool to see all the technology, all the cars. It was definitely something that like people were coming from all corners of the expo. You'd get people coming from Apex, which is way down the strip at Venetian, be like, I had to see what was going on. I heard you guys are converting a vehicle live. I just needed to see it. And so we would have like literally people standing outside our booth. We had big TV screens up, like facing down so people could see the action. And then we had four alumni from our program working together to convert the Model A Project E from gas to electric. It drove in gas and it left electric 4 days later, which was super cool. Something that's never been done before at SEMA. And so it was really fun to be able to show that to people, and then show the quality of our training for techs who had not met each other coming together and working to convert a vehicle from gas to electric was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was I forgot about that. That's a great. I'm glad you brought that up. That was such a cool thing that your team did there, where you actually had a ICE Model A drive in, and from what I had heard, it was even like you had to even stretch out like the fourth day. It had converted so
Yeah.
quickly to electric that you're like, well, okay, let's kind of slow these things down so we make it by that fourth day. But that just kind of shows how impressive and how much that, like I'm talking about with the kit, kind of the productization of this, instead of it being a one-off kind of like homebrew build, having
Yeah.
these just interchangeable and easy off-the-shelf parts really makes this much more feasible for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I think a lot more approachable for traditional mechanics as well.
Yeah, totally. And I'll give you the inside scoop here on I guess maybe like how that's possible to even get done. And the first piece is a huge shout out to Fellten. Their universal pack is a huge piece of what is going to allow conversions to be done way quicker. And so you talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'll also note that Legacy V is now the distributor for that product in North America. So you can come and get it from us, and we can help support you with implementing that product into your project, which is going to cut build time down by a ton. Building a battery pack is the biggest time suck of an EV conversion. So having that done for you is huge. And then realistically, we built that car, and I want to say about a month before we came to SEMA. So we had built it, we had then taken it apart and then put it back together to test, to prove that, we can do this. We can get it done in 4 days. So the motor mounts, the brackets for the battery box that are going to fix it to the chassis, all that stuff was done. So it's not like we were, fabricating and welding there at the show. We had all
Right,
that
right.
stuff pre-done. But I mean, we did it in, I want to say, like 6.5 hours or something like that, because we had to give people longer lunch
Wow.
breaks. We had to spread it out. And so it just shows the opportunity for these kids that are make model specific, how fast you can get it done. And then even then, the amount of work that went into it before the show was not some, outrageous lift. It was a much simpler version of what is normally done when you have that pack ready to go. So that was very cool to be able to use that and show it at SEMA.